Did you go about collecting this quantity of photos from your career?
Well, I had a lot of photographs from the very early stages, like the pre-Beatles stage, and they were like in the family archives and my own archives from when I was a kid. And then I had various photographs.
In the annals of rock history, few figures shine as brightly as Jimmy Page, the creative force behind Led Zeppelin's unforgettable riffs. While his talent and charisma catapulted him to legendary status, a darker truth loomed beneath the surface. Behind the dazzling performances and iconic music, Page faced a hidden battle with addiction that profoundly affected his life and career. Recently unveiled revelations shed light on these struggles during Led Zeppelin's rise to fame, inviting us to reconsider the man who defined an era of rock. Join us as we explore Page's early life and the journey that shaped this rock icon. The hidden struggles of Jimmy Page, a rock legend's journey through fame and addiction. Jimmy Page, the mastermind behind Led Zeppelin's iconic riffs, stands as one of rock history's greatest guitarists, captivating audiences with his groundbreaking music and unparalleled stage presence. His talent and charisma not only made him a legend, but also reshaped the rock genre for decades to come. However, behind the legendary status and dazzling performances lay a more troubling reality. Despite his public success, Page grappled with a private struggle that remained hidden for years. Recently, shocking new details have emerged about the extent of his battle with addiction, prompting a closer look at what was truly happening behind the scenes during Led Zeppelin's heyday. How did these hidden struggles impact the man who defined an era of rock? The revelations may forever alter your perception of this rock icon. A journey begins. The early life of Jimmy Page. Born on January 9, 1944, in Heston, a small village in Middlesex, England, Jimmy Page's childhood was steeped in the complexities of post-war Britain. Growing up in a typical middle-class family, with his father, James Page, working as an industrial personnel manager, and his mother, Patricia, serving as a doctor's secretary, young Jimmy was always searching for something more. The family moved several times during his early years, finally settling in Epsom, Surrey, a place that would play a pivotal role in shaping his future. From a young age, Page exhibited signs of being deeply curious and creative. While many children spent their days outdoors, Jimmy found solace in exploring his imagination indoors, drawn to art and music. It wasn't until he was around 12 years old that music truly began to dominate his world. One fateful day, an old Spanish-style acoustic guitar, left behind by a previous tenant, appeared in the Page household. Captivated by the instrument, Jimmy picked it up and began strumming, his innate fascination igniting an obsession to learn more about music. During this time, England was experiencing a cultural shift with the skiffle craze, a blend of jazz, blues and folk, sweeping the nation. Young people, inspired by this movement, were picking up guitars and forming bands in their garages. Jimmy found himself glued to the radio, listening to musicians like Lonnie Donegan, who popularised skiffle music. These early influences planted the seeds for his future career as he became engrossed in the burgeoning music scene. Recognising his growing passion, Jimmy's parents supported him by purchasing his first proper guitar, a cherished second-hand model, and arranging for lessons. However, his guitar teacher quickly realised that Jimmy was more interested in experimenting with the instrument than adhering to traditional methods. He wanted to play what he felt, and even at a young age, his talent was undeniable. By his early teens, Jimmy was already performing at school events and local talent shows, earning the reputation of the quiet kid with extraordinary guitar skills. Yet, while music was increasingly occupying his thoughts, his academic pursuits began to falter. As a teenager, Jimmy faced the uncertainties common to many young people. He adored playing the guitar, yet he questioned whether he could truly make a living out of it. While his parents were supportive, they were also cautious, wishing for him to have a stable future. This internal conflict lingered, with Jimmy caught between his passion for music and the societal expectation of pursuing a more conventional career. The musical beginnings of Jimmy Page. Jimmy Page's love for the guitar transformed from a quiet fascination into a lifelong passion. After discovering the guitar left behind by a previous tenant, he became completely absorbed in learning how to play. By age 12, he was teaching himself, relying heavily on his ear. His natural talent quickly became apparent. It wasn't long before he convinced his parents to purchase a second-hand Horner guitar that he cherished. During the early 1950s, rock and roll was sweeping the world, and Jimmy found himself entranced by the electrifying sounds of Chuck Berry and Scotty Moore. Hours spent listening to records led him to mimic the riffs and rhythms he heard. Yet Jimmy was not merely a copycat. He began creating his own music. Even as a teenager, his unique approach to the guitar involved blending different styles and experimenting with sound. His first steps into the music industry came when he began performing in local bands around Epsom. By the time he was 14, he was already playing with semi-professional groups, including one called Neil Christian and the Crusaders. This experience gave Jimmy his first taste of life on the road, touring around England and playing in clubs and dance halls. These early gigs were crucial in shaping his style as he learned to captivate an audience, developing the stage presence that would later make him a rock legend. However, life on the road was not without its challenges. The long hours and constant travelling took a toll on Jimmy's health. He even fell seriously ill with glandular fever, forcing him to take a break from performing. During this time away from the stage, he reflected on his future, deciding to focus on his studies and enrolling in Sutton Art College with the intention of pursuing a career in painting. But the allure of music proved too strong, and it wasn't long before he returned to the guitar. As the British music scene boomed in the early 1960s, London became the hub for aspiring musicians. Jimmy started working as a session guitarist, refining his skills and building valuable industry connections. He quickly gained a reputation as one of the most sought-after session musicians in London, playing on recordings for artists like The Who, The Rolling Stones, and Marianne Faithfull. His ability to adapt to various styles and knack for improvisation made him a favourite among producers. Yet, despite enjoying session work, Jimmy longed for something more, a platform where he could truly express himself. In 1966, that opportunity arrived when he joined the Yardbirds, a band already known for its innovative sound. Initially joining as a bassist, he quickly transitioned to lead guitar, collaborating with fellow guitarist Jeff Beck. Together, they created a dynamic, explosive sound that pushed the boundaries of rock music. Although his time with the Yardbirds was brief, it was incredibly influential. Jimmy brought a new level of creativity to the band, experimenting with feedback, distortion, and different guitar tunings. Songs like Happenings 10 Years Time Ago showcased his ability to blend blues with psychedelic rock, setting the stage for his signature style. Despite their success, internal tensions and constant lineup changes ultimately led to the Yardbirds' disbandment in 1968. However, this was far from the end of Jimmy's journey. Instead, it laid the groundwork for what would become one of the greatest rock bands in history, Led Zeppelin. The rise of Led Zeppelin. A new band takes flight after the Yardbirds disbanded. Jimmy Page was determined to form a new group that could capture the explosive energy and innovative sound he envisioned. He reached out to Robert Plant, a powerful vocalist known for his incredible range and commanding stage presence. Plant, who was fronting a band called Band of Joy at the time, was intrigued by Page's ideas and agreed to join him. Next, Page enlisted John Bonham, a drummer celebrated for his thunderous beats and precise rhythm. Bonham's reputation in the music scene made him an obvious choice, while John Paul Jones, a talented multi-instrumentalist who could play bass and keyboards, rounded out the group. Together, they formed Led Zeppelin, and their first performance under this name took place on October 7th, 1968, at the University of Surrey in England. The chemistry among the members was electric from the outset, creating a sound that was powerful, intricate, and unlike anything heard before. Their self-titled debut album, released in January 1969, marked the beginning of their meteoric rise. The album was a groundbreaking blend of blues, rock, and psychedelic music. Songs like Good Times, Bad Times, and Dazed and Confused quickly captivated listeners, showcasing not only Page's distinctive guitar work, but also the band's ability to combine various musical styles seamlessly. The success was swift and remarkable. Their heavy guitar riffs, dynamic vocals, and complex arrangements set them apart from their contemporaries. Led Zeppelin's concerts became legendary, with Page's guitar solos and Plant's powerful vocals leaving audiences in awe. Page played a central role in shaping the band's sound, known for his innovative techniques and use of effects like distortion and feedback. He took on the role of producer, allowing him to mold the band's recordings and ensure their music captured the raw energy of their live performances. One of Page's most notable contributions was to their second album, Led Zeppelin II, released in October 1969. This album featured some of their most iconic songs, including Whole Lot of Love and Ramble On. Page's guitar riffs and production work were integral to the album's success, solidifying Led Zeppelin's place in rock history. The height of fame, pressures, and hidden struggles. As Led Zeppelin's fame grew, so did the band's influence on the music scene. They were pioneers in rock music, continuously pushing boundaries with their sound and performances. Their concerts became monumental events, and their albums set new standards for rock music. However, with this rise in popularity came intense pressure and challenges that were not immediately visible to their fans. As Led Zeppelin reached the peak of their fame, the pressures of relentless touring, high expectations, and the strain of maintaining their rock star image began to take a toll, particularly on Jimmy Page. During the late 1960s and early 1970s, Led Zeppelin was at the height of their powers. Their music was revolutionary, and their concerts attracted massive crowds. But this success came with intense pressure. The band was constantly on the road, performing in cities worldwide, and the grueling schedule began to wear them down. For Jimmy Page, the stress, the turmoil within. Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin. Despite his best efforts to conceal his struggles, the cracks in Jimmy Page's facade were beginning to show, marking the onset of a tumultuous period for both him and the legendary rock band Led Zeppelin. At the height of their fame, the band was celebrated for its electrifying live performances and groundbreaking music. But during this critical phase, Page's escalating addiction started to erode the very foundations of their success. The effects of his substance use reverberated through the band's dynamics, creating an environment fraught with tension and discord. Deteriorating performances and rising tensions. Led Zeppelin was renowned for their unparalleled energy on stage, a characteristic that became their hallmark. However, as Page's addiction worsened, it began to manifest in unpredictable and erratic behaviour during concerts. His visible impairment became a source of frustration, not only for the fans, but also for his bandmates, John Bonham, Robert Plant, and John Paul Jones. These musicians had once enjoyed a close and collaborative working relationship with Page, but the strain of his substance abuse began to take its toll. Tensions rose sharply, transforming their once harmonious creative process into a battleground of conflicting egos and artistic visions. Recording sessions, which had previously been an exciting exploration of musical creativity, became laden with conflicts and delays. The once vibrant atmosphere that fostered the creation of iconic albums was replaced by a palpable sense of unease. Page's addiction made it difficult for him to contribute consistently, leading to frustrating pauses in the creative flow that had once defined their work. This instability affected the quality of their music, resulting in albums that, while still commercially successful, began to reflect the internal strife within the band. Impact on their music and image. As Led Zeppelin continued to release hit albums, the underlying issues of addiction and interpersonal conflict increasingly overshadowed their success. The music, which had been a source of joy and empowerment for the band and their fans, became tinged with a sense of struggle and despair. The once tightly woven fabric of their sound began to unravel, with Page's personal battles manifesting in the disjointed nature of their recordings. The pressure of fame and the expectations of their fan base created an unbearable weight that led the band to a crossroads. How could they navigate these challenges while maintaining their legendary status? The 1970s, often characterized as a decade of excess and rebellion in the rock scene, also bore witness to the darker side of that lifestyle. Musicians were viewed as icons of freedom, but many, including Page, became ensnared in a web of substance abuse. The culture of the time normalized the use of drugs and alcohol, creating an environment where these substances were not merely recreational. They were essential components of the rock star persona. For Page, what began as casual indulgence rapidly spiraled into a debilitating addiction, one that mirrored the experiences of many contemporaries like Janis Joplin and Jim Morrison, who also grappled with the demons of addiction. A world of excess and its consequences. The atmosphere of the 1970s rock scene was exhilarating but perilous, marked by long nights, relentless touring, and a near obsession with pushing boundaries. The rock and roll lifestyle, with its inherent dangers, often led musicians down paths of self-destruction. Jimmy Page was no exception. The partying and late nights became synonymous with the life of a rock star, but they exacted a heavy toll. Physical and mental health issues became rampant among those who embraced this lifestyle, and Page's personal journey illustrated the profound impact that addiction can have not only on an individual, but on a group dynamic as well. As Page's addiction deepened, it wreaked havoc on his health and relationships. His once vibrant appearance gave way to a gaunt and weary visage, a stark contrast to the energetic performer fans had come to adore. Frequent illnesses and a pervasive sense of fatigue plagued him, diminishing his ability to contribute creatively and perform at the level his bandmates and audiences expected. The impact on his mental health was equally severe. Page experienced mood swings and unpredictable behaviour that strained relationships with his bandmates. The camaraderie that had once fueled their creativity began to fracture under the weight of addiction. The crumbling foundation of Led Zeppelin. The tumultuous environment within the band reached its zenith as the pressures of fame and addiction continued to mount. The vibrant energy that had once characterized their performances was replaced with uncertainty and tension, casting a long shadow over Led Zeppelin's legacy. As Page's addiction spiraled out of control, the band found themselves facing a crisis that threatened to undo all they had achieved. The dark side of rock and roll, often romanticized in popular culture, was now a harsh reality that loomed over their once celebrated legacy. The turning point came in September 1980 with the tragic death of John Bonham, the heartbeat of Led Zeppelin. Bonham's passing, a devastating loss caused by asphyxiation due to alcohol intoxication, was not just a personal tragedy for the band members. It signalled the inevitable end of Led Zeppelin. Without Bonham, the band lost its driving force, and it became painfully clear that they could not continue without him. The grief and shock that enveloped Page, Plant, and Jones marked the beginning of the end for one of rock music's most influential groups. The aftermath of loss and addiction. In the wake of Bonham's death, Led Zeppelin announced their disbandment in December 1980. For Page, this decision was a crushing blow. The band had been his life's work, and its dissolution left him grappling with an overwhelming sense of loss and emptiness. His struggles with addiction, compounded by the grief of losing his bandmate, created a perfect storm of despair. In those early months after the breakup, Page found himself at a crossroads, attempting to navigate a new reality without the band that had defined his identity. As the years progressed, Page endeavoured to find his footing in a world where Led Zeppelin no longer existed. He explored various musical projects, but the magic and camaraderie that had once propelled him forward felt like a distant memory. His personal battles with addiction only complicated matters, leading to a series of ups and downs that left him searching for meaning and stability. Recent revelations shed light on the true extent of Page's struggles with addiction during this tumultuous period, providing a more comprehensive understanding of the impact his rock star life had on his overall well-being. Although he managed to maintain a public image of confidence and charisma, the reality was far less glamorous. Accounts from those close to him reveal a stark contrast between the image he projected and the internal chaos he faced. The reality behind the glamour reports indicate that Page's addiction was far more destructive than many realised. He experienced severe physical consequences, losing significant weight and often appearing gaunt and exhausted. The strain of his lifestyle took a toll, not just on his body, but also on his mental state. Frequent mood swings and erratic behaviour disrupted his ability to perform consistently and handle the pressures of fame. The innovative guitarist and producer, once revered for his creativity, began to falter under the weight of his addiction. Recording sessions, once a crucible of creativity and collaboration, were marred by delays and heightened tensions. Page's unreliability and erratic presence strained relationships with his bandmates, transforming what should have been a productive environment into a source of frustration and conflict. The music that had once flowed effortlessly now faced significant hurdles, reflecting the turmoil within the band. Beyond his professional challenges, Page's personal relationships suffered greatly. Friends who had once shared in the joys of his rock star life began to drift away as Page increasingly isolated himself. His relationships with family members also deteriorated as addiction created a barrier that made it difficult for them to connect. Despite their efforts to reach out and support him, Page's isolation left him feeling helpless and alone, grappling with a loneliness that deepened his despair. The road to recovery and redemption. Despite the challenges he faced, the late 1970s marked the beginning of a critical turning point in Page's life. He recognised that his addiction was consuming him, prompting him to seek help. While there are no public records detailing a formal rehabilitation process, it is known that Page began to reach out for professional assistance, working with medical experts and confiding in close friends who understood the depth of his struggles. Rebuilding his life was not an overnight process. It required a profound commitment to self-care and healing. Page distanced himself from the destructive lifestyle that had once defined him, focusing on his personal well-being. Seeking therapy and support from others who had overcome similar struggles became instrumental in his recovery journey. He learned to navigate the complexities of addiction and its impact on his identity, gradually reclaiming control over his life. In the early 1980s, Page began to explore new musical avenues. He did not rush back into the spotlight. Instead, he adopted a more measured approach, allowing himself the time needed to heal. Collaboration with other musicians became a key focus, enabling him to express his creativity without the pressures associated with constant touring. One significant project during this period was his formation of The Firm with former Free and Bad Company singer Paul Rodgers. This new band provided Page with a fresh start, allowing him to experiment with different musical styles while reconnecting with his passion for music. The Firm released several albums that received positive feedback, helping Page re-establish himself as a talented musician. Additionally, he participated in notable reunions with his former Led Zeppelin bandmates. In 1985, he joined Robert Plant, John Paul Jones, and John Bonham's son, Jason Bonham, for a memorable live performance at the Live Aid concert. This appearance served as a powerful reminder of the band's enduring legacy and offered Page an opportunity to reconnect with the music that had shaped his life. Legacy and reflection. As the years passed, Page emerged from the shadows of addiction, transforming his struggles into a source of strength and inspiration. He became an advocate for mental health awareness, sharing his experiences to help others facing similar challenges. His journey through addiction and recovery resonated with many, underscoring the importance of seeking help and prioritizing mental well-being. Reflecting on his legacy, Page recognized the significance of his musical contributions and the lasting impact of Led Zeppelin on the world of rock music. The band's influence can still be felt today, with their music continuing to inspire new generations of musicians and fans alike. Despite the challenges he faced, Page emerged from the ordeal with newfound clarity, understanding that his battles had shaped him into the artist he had become. The road was far from easy, but Jimmy Page's journey through addiction ultimately became a testament to resilience and transformation. He not only reclaimed his life and career, but also inspired others to confront their struggles and seek a brighter future. In the annals of rock history, his story serves as a reminder of the complexities of fame, the perils of addiction, and the power of redemption. A legacy of resilience. The saga of Jimmy Page and Led Zeppelin reflects a broader narrative of struggle, resilience, and the quest for redemption. While the band achieved monumental success, the journey was not without its challenges, particularly in the realm of addiction. Page's experiences during this tumultuous period serve as a cautionary tale, shedding light on the often hidden battles faced by those in the spotlight. Yet, amidst the chaos and turmoil, Page's story is ultimately one of triumph, a narrative that underscores the transformative power of resilience, healing, and the enduring love for music. Beyond his prowess as a guitarist, Page proved to be a brilliant producer, utilizing his technical skills to enhance the depth and richness of Led Zeppelin's music. His work on the band's albums is a testament to his artistry, as he meticulously crafted complex, layered recordings that expanded the possibilities of what rock music could achieve. The unique sound of Led Zeppelin, which intricately blended blues, hard rock, and folk influences, is largely attributed to Page's innovative vision. Even decades later, aspiring guitarists and producers continue to draw inspiration from his approach, attempting to emulate his distinctive style and creative processes. However, Page's story is also a cautionary tale about the pressures that accompany fame and the potential toll they can take on personal well-being. His battle with addiction underscores the dark side of rock and roll, a world often glamorized yet rife with peril. For both fans and fellow musicians, Page's experiences serve as a poignant reminder of the importance of seeking help and support when facing such formidable challenges. His journey illustrates that even the most gifted individuals are not immune to personal difficulties, and that overcoming these obstacles is a critical aspect of the human experience. Despite these challenges, Led Zeppelin's influence on rock history remains enduring. The band's music continues to resonate with new generations of listeners, shaping the sound of modern rock and influencing countless artists who have followed in their footsteps. The timelessness of Led Zeppelin's albums, filled with iconic riffs and unforgettable lyrics, ensures that their songs are still celebrated in concerts and radio playlists around the world.